Today, we step into one of the most heartbreaking chapters, stories of famous female celebrities whose lives were slowly and painfully taken by lung cancer. These weren't sudden ends. They were long, private battles fought through breathless days, hospital visits, and quiet moments at home, where strength and hope were tested again and again. Some of these women were icons at the height of their careers. Others were beloved veterans whose work had shaped generations, but all of them faced the same cruel illness with courage, grace, and dignity. In this video, we remember these remarkable women. Donna Summer, the beloved American singer and songwriter who became the undisputed queen of disco and brought joy, power, and extraordinary energy to millions, passed away on May 17, 2012, at the age of 63 after a quiet but relentless battle with lung cancer. Years before her passing, Donna began experiencing breathing problems and unexplained fatigue, and doctors eventually confirmed the diagnosis she feared. Instead of making it public, she chose to carry this burden privately, focusing on her faith and her family while still creating music in the studio. Close friends later revealed that she believed the illness had been triggered by inhaling toxic particles in New York after the September 11th attacks, an idea that added a tragic layer to her story. In her last months, she retreated to her home in Naples, Florida, where she was cared for by her husband and children, spending her days between hospital visits and quiet moments at home, writing new material and praying. Even as her strength faded, she continued to sing softly, working on songs she hoped to release, determined not to let her illness define her. On the morning she died, she was surrounded by family and comfort, slipping away peacefully but leaving behind a world stunned by the news. To the world, she was more than a performer. She was the voice behind unforgettable anthems like Love to Love You Baby, I Feel Love, Last Dance, and Hot Stuff, songs that define the sound of the 1970s and changed the way people experienced dance music. Born LaDonna Adrienne Gaines on December 31, 1948, in Boston, Massachusetts, she sang in church as a child and dreamed of a life on stage long before fame found her. She moved to Europe in her teens, starred in the German production of Hair, and then, through a groundbreaking collaboration with Giorgio Moroder and Pete Bellotte, crafted a new style of electronic dance music that spread across the globe. Her career became a string of record-breaking hits and awards, making her the first woman to score 3 consecutive #1 double albums and inspiring countless artists in pop and electronic genres. Even after the disco era faded, Donna reinvented herself again and again, proving her artistry was far deeper than any label. Her death was a heartbreaking loss to music, but her bold spirit, timeless voice, and shimmering songs still fill dance floors and hearts today, a lasting legacy of hope, freedom, and pure joy. Bea Arthur, the beloved American actress, comedian, and singer, whose tall frame, deep voice, and razor-sharp timing brought warmth, wit, and extraordinary charm to generations of audiences, passed away on April 25, 2009, at the age of 86 after a courageous but ultimately devastating battle with lung cancer. In her final months, she had withdrawn quietly to her Los Angeles home, surrounded by her sons and close friends, facing the illness with the same dignity and fierce independence that had marked her career. When the end came, it was peaceful, but it left a painful emptiness for the many people she had touched. She is remembered first for breaking ground on television as Maude Findlay in All in the Family and its spin-off Maude, where her bold, outspoken liberal character became a voice for social change in the 1970s, and later as Dorothy Zbornak on The Golden Girls, the sharp-tongued, tender-hearted divorce teacher whose dry humor and hidden vulnerability made her one of the most loved characters in TV history. Born Bernice Frankel on May 13, 1922 in Brooklyn to Jewish immigrant parents and raised in Maryland, she survived a serious blood disorder as a teenager, became one of the first women to enlist in the U.S. Marine Corps during World War II, and worked as a typist, truck driver, and medical technician before following her true calling to the stage in New York. Starting off Broadway in the late 1940s, she stole scenes as Lucy Brown in the Threepenny Opera, Yent the Matchmaker in Fiddler on the Roof, and won a Tony Award for her unforgettable Vera Charles in Mame, later reprising the role on film. Television made her a household name, earning her multiple Emmy Awards, and even in later years, she kept performing in one-woman shows and lending her unmistakable voice to guest roles. Away from the spotlight, she was a private, home-loving mother who still found the strength to advocate for animal rights, women's equality, and homeless LGBTQ+ youth, leaving a bequest that helped create the Bea Arthur residence in New York. Her death dimmed Broadway's lights and broke hearts among friends like Angela Lansbury, Norman Lear, Betty White, and Adrienne Barbeau, but her fearless artistry, generosity, and the characters she created continue to shine as a beacon of courage and authenticity for anyone who ever felt like an outsider looking for a voice. Patricia Neal, the beloved American film and television actress who brought strength, vulnerability, and extraordinary depth to generations of audiences, passed away on August 8, 2010, at the age of 84 after a long, private battle with lung cancer. She had first begun to feel unwell in her early 80s, noticing a persistent cough and exhaustion, and although she quietly sought medical help, she chose to keep her diagnosis away from the public, preferring to live her last years surrounded by family and faith rather than headlines. As the cancer progressed, she moved back to her home in Edgartown on Martha's Vineyard, where she spent her final summer on the porch overlooking the sea, welcoming visitors, telling stories of her life, and praying daily after converting to Catholicism just months before her death. Surrounded by her children and close friends from the Abbey of Regina Laudis, she passed peacefully, leaving fans shocked at the news of her illness, but inspired by the grace with which she faced it. She will forever be remembered for her Oscar-winning performance as the weary but resilient housekeeper Alma Brown opposite Paul Newman in HUD 1963, a role that became the defining highlight of her career, and also for unforgettable turns as Helen Benson in The Day, The Earth Stood Still, and as the original Olivia Walton in The Homecoming, A Christmas Story. Born Patsy Louise Neal on January 20, 1926, in Packard, Kentucky, and raised in Knoxville, Tennessee, she grew up the daughter of a coal mine manager, singing and reciting poems at school before falling in love with acting at just 10 years old. She won a state dramatic reading prize as a teenager, apprenticed at the Barter Theater at 16, and went on to study drama at Northwestern University before heading to New York, where within a year she was on Broadway, winning the very first Tony Award for Best Featured Actress for Another Part of the Forest in 1947. She soon moved into films, starring opposite Gary Cooper in The Fountainhead and building a career marked by both triumph and tragedy. A highly publicized affair, the loss of a child, a devastating accident that injured her son, and a series of strokes while pregnant in 1965 that left her in a coma and forced her to relearn how to walk and talk. With relentless determination and the support of her then-husband, author Roald Dahl, she recovered, returned to acting, and earned another Oscar nomination for The Subject Was Rose's 1968, becoming an inspiration for stroke survivors worldwide and lending her name to the Patricia Neal Rehabilitation Center in Knoxville. In her later years, she continued to appear in films and documentaries and remained a warm, encouraging presence to younger performers. Patricia Neal's passing closed a life of remarkable artistry and resilience, but her courage in illness, her faith in her final days, and her unforgettable performances have left a legacy that still moves audiences today.